Drummers I Like podcast, episode number 17. What's up, everybody? I am your host, Richard Ducat. I'm coming out of Santa Monica, the Drummers I Like headquarters. On the other line is my co-host and master of metal, Kevin, coming out from Vero Beach. What's up, man?
Master of Metal. Listen to that introduction. That's a new one. That's a new one. What's going on, everybody?
I
How's
wanted,
how's Richard today?
I'm doing good, man. I wanted to spice it up a little bit. You know, I'm always like
Yeah, yeah.
introing our guests and like blowing them up, like I always do. I figure I'd pass some your way today.
Well, it's funny that you refer to me as the Metal Master today because today we have somebody that's not so metal.
I know, and and I'm so inspired by his creativeness, which is why I've been so different on this intro. I just want to be a little different today. Amir has inspired me, and that's right. Today's guest is Amir Oosman. He is better known on Instagram by his name at Amir Oosman. I guess that'd be the best way to find him. But
Just try his name.
yeah, just try his name. He's actually we've actually been following Amir on Instagram. I don't want to say a year. I could be slightly off, but pretty close to that. Right when he started posting a lot as far as drum stuff goes. I don't know how it is. Sometimes you find each other through going through hashtags, or I might have liked something from him, or vice versa. Anyways, we crossed paths, and after I picked up on his skill set, I started liking and commenting on everything. And when we first launched the podcast, I immediately messaged him like, "Hey, you got to come on the show." And it's taken 4 months, but we finally lined it up, and 4 months later, and it looks like 6 or 7 thousand more followers on his Instagram page. Amir is blowing up, and I'm so impressed by his playing style, his unique approach to being creative, and just how much he stands out in what I keep calling this a world full of voices. There's so many people screaming for attention, especially on Instagram. So I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to shut up. So, Kevin, I think we can
Yes, sir.
pretty much get this thing started, unless you have anything to add.
I'm just excited to have Amir on. I love watching his stuff, on Instagram, and
Yeah.
can't wait to dig into maybe a little bit about his car playing, and
Yeah.
ready to get to it.
Yep. Yes, I am. I am very ready. And before we get started, I just want to remind. Ugh. And before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to head over to your Instagram and your Twitter channel and follow at Drummers I Like. And if you're on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Drummers I Like. Same for YouTube, youtube.com/Drummers I Like. And if you have some extra time, which I'm commanding you to make it right now, scroll down the show notes and click that link to go review us on iTunes, because we definitely want to hear your feedback. And every week we're trying to cater the show to our listeners, which we love and value very much. So if you have some time, go down there and click the link. If you don't have some time, go down there and click the link and just leave a review. It's all good, man. We'll make it work.
That's right. Either way, leave a review.
Leave a review. But yeah, without further ado, you ready to get this started, dude?
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, for your listening pleasure, Amir Oosman. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Drummers I Like podcast. Today, we have Amir Oosman. Amir plays for Promark Evans. He also plays for the groups Jumanji, Dara World Music, Jeff Purnett, Joyce Rice, Sebastian Cole, and Amir is like one of the craziest drummers I've seen in a while, and really why I wanted to have him on the show today is because how I feel the industry for drummers is going is that there's a lot of voices, there's a lot of people speaking, a lot of people out there trying to rumble and get their voice on drums heard, and Amir's approach is not only amazing but very unique, and I just can't wait to hear about his unique playing style, how he learned, and everything about him. So welcome to the show, Amir Oosman. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah,
No
no
problem.
problem.
Pleasure is ours. Pleasure is ours.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You and I have been kind of playing the Instagram tag game here for the last
Yeah,
couple
no
weeks. We've
doubt.
I think we've tried to set this show up like two or three times now.
It
So
finally worked.
it finally
Hmm.
worked. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, of course, of
I know
course, man.
everyone's got hectic schedules and it all worked out.
It did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And literally from the minute I saw you play on Instagram, I was just, thrown back and then kind of watching you, I wouldn't say slowly, I would say extremely fastly grow on Instagram alone, that social media account, your followers, your likes, your views. It just really shows that if you bring something different to the game, you can definitely, really turn some heads and get people watching, listening, and getting into it.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
so without further ado, I would love to hear more about you. I want to hear about how you got started with music, how you found that first drum set. You know, take us down the path of Amir Oosman and how he got to where he is today.
Cool. Yeah, I started music pretty early, like 11 years old, 12 years old. And that was mainly influenced by my mother. She helped me get my first small Yamaha, I think, stage custom kit. And I basically had that for about 8 years until probably college. And I tried to do some lessons early on. I tried some individual lessons with some jazz teachers, and it just didn't click for me. Maybe because I also didn't have some big influences to look at. So until I was about 13 or 14, I was kind of just, you know, doing it as a hobby, something for fun, because I was also playing piano and trumpet. But when I saw the Blue Devils from Concord perform, I was
Hmm.
about 13. It was 2003, and they had this award-winning show that started with all these insane drum licks. And once I saw that, I knew that was an activity I wanted to be a part of. So the following year, again, my mother helped me get signed up. I auditioned, um, kind of just auditioned on quads because I was coming from, middle school jazz band on drum set. So I just picked the thing that had the most drums. I didn't play traditional grip. I still don't play traditional grip. So marching snare drum was not for me, and quads just made sense. And since then, from that activity, from drum corps, that really helped shape my technique, that helped shape my sound quality, and that helped shape, you know, whatever um, chops or any type of things you might see me play rudimentarily speaking. That's where that all came from, is that background until basically college, because I didn't really take drum sets super seriously until I started gigging. And when I was, you know, maybe 16, 17, I got back into more drum set. I got influenced by probably just a handful of guys, mainly Vinny Caluta, mainly Chris Dave, mainly Chris Coleman, and Jojo Mayer. And all of them seem to combine a lot of rudimental drumming, but in a very unique, specific way. And it kind of opened me up to saying there's not one right way to play drum set. There's not one right way or right technique. There's a lot. And through that, that kind of shaped my playing to now. That shaped the exact way I play now. Is I take all these influences from the drum set world, the marching percussion world, and even the world percussion world, because I studied tabla and North Indian music, and that, now I'm 25, and it's helped me mature a lot. It's helped me not be stubborn and closed-minded to other styles.
Very cool. Very cool. Just to unpack something there for a minute. So you went into playing tenors at the drum corps level straight from drum set, is that correct?
Yeah.
That's pretty. I mean, that's amazing in and of itself. It seems like anybody I know that's ever gone that drum corps, has played, either their snare or their tenors all through, all through their time before they'd even
Yeah,
consider
like
that.
high
So that's
school
that's a
and
that's a
yeah.
pretty high jump there. That's pretty crazy.
Well, one person I'll shout out is Rudy Garcia from Blue Devils staff. He would drive down from Sacramento, and I was living by Concord, so he would give me like a lesson every week or so, and that helped me so much. He showed me kind of the tools to practice by myself because, as I said earlier, prior to that, lessons just weren't my thing. I wanted to kind of teach myself and,
Sure.
figure out how I like to play and how what people I like to listen to. So, being that I didn't have a high school marching band, Rudy definitely helped me out a lot, big time.
That's cool. I don't think a lot of people could say that. So kudos to you on that because that's pretty amazing.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Not to interrupt though. I had to hear more.
No, no doubt. Yeah, I did Blue Devils basically until, you age out of that activity. I um, did the Blue Coats, Madison Scouts as well. And as far as like WGI goes, we have or had a group up in Sacramento called the Freelancers, and I did that for 1 year in high school. Um,
Okay.
Once I got into college and grad school, I really kind of just went into study mode and went into drum set world and didn't shut anything out, but I really wanted to focus on education.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, one thing that really helped with me getting like serious about drum set was I did a summer program at Berklee College of Music. I'd
Mhm.
always kind of thought about going there. I applied for undergrad, turned it down, and ended up staying in California because I wasn't really ready to leave. But I ended up still going out there for a summer, and it was kind of like a jazz program. Um, got to basically surround myself with a ton of drummers who were super hungry to get better, and that shaped, my my thirst to get better because before that it was just surrounded by a bunch of marching percussion people who, have a different sense of drive and a crazy rehearsal schedule. So to go into
Hmm.
drum set world, like a basically like a drum set camp for the whole summer, really like inspired me to go, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Sure. It had to be kind of relaxing too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Have you been out in LA most of your life?
I moved here like 6 years ago, I think. When I started grad school, I I thought about taking time off after undergrad, but uh, kind of sat down with my family and spoke about it and thought I'm really into this right now. I don't want to take years off and go back to school. A lot of my friends, how people after college travel, they decided to do that. I just said, let me go right into it. And I ended up going to California Institute of the Arts, which is kind of north of downtown LA, up in Valencia, Santa Clarita. And from graduating about 4 years ago, I just stayed down here. I moved to Highland Park, which is like 10 minutes from downtown.
I see, I see. Yeah, I'm over in, I think I told you, I'm in Woodland Hills right now.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Which is funny enough, I recently found out that a lot of drummers live out where I'm at. Like a lot of really well known drummers. So I'm going to have to go door to
Yeah,
door and figure out where the hell
LA
they
is
are.
You're
LA
in
is
LA,
not
Richard. What
short.
did you expect?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, my particular area, I didn't feel like that would be such a haven for professional drummers. Of
You mean like
Hmm.
specifically Woodland Hills?
right, yeah, there's like I guess the Woodland Hill Drum
You
Gang.
gotta start like a Woodland Hills Shed Sessions,
Super.
Volume One.
In Volume One.
What are you hinting at, Amir? You wanna join in on that with me?
Hey, if you allow, I'm not in your county, but
That's
I'll go
true.
up
That's
there.
true.
I'll
Ah,
make the
well,
drive.
I've only lived here I think a year and a half, so I don't know if I am able to say that I'm from here or
I definitely dig it here though. I don't plan on leaving LA. I kind of entertained the idea of New York when I was first getting settled here, and a lot of musicians kind of think LA, New York, Nashville, and it just seemed like the right fit. There's a different pace out here. I love it and love the community. It's really supportive. A lot of the things you hear about that are maybe just assumptions about musicians in LA aren't necessarily true. It just kind of depends on who you choose to surround yourself with and the circle you tend to keep. And if it's
Sure.
positive, it can be super productive.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't had I haven't had displeasure of running into any negative
Hmm. Yeah, I'd say the
bad
same thing.
bad musicians out here. I have heard that talk a lot, and I hear it more. It's like about the specific clubs and
Hmm.
kind of like the people who have been playing there longer, and
Hmm.
just the senior musicians I've
Yeah,
heard are the tough
probably.
guys. But younger guys, I feel we're all a little more open minded, where we want
Yeah,
to
there's a
be more
fun
communal.
scene down here right now. There's a lot of really fantastic jazz drummers. There's a lot of incredible fusion and gospel drummers. You have just a crazy array of people in different fields, and then they all support each other. You go
It's
to
awesome.
you go to conventions like NAMM and you see all these people, and everyone is showing support, everyone's showing love for each other, and social media by far has helped that. I
Sure.
I
Absolutely.
can only say good things about that because, as you said earlier, about my particular growth with social media was just I really took note of people on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I wanted to just put myself in a cave for a while, work on me, work on my sound, and then maybe, drop a bunch of videos, like drop a bunch of content, see how people respond to it. The response was great and very positive, so I kept going with that, and it was all just experimenting, all a process. Because at first I kind of was hesitant, and you start with Instagram and you kind of don't know what to post, and then get more comfortable with, showing the true side of your musicianship.
I mean, it's a huge thing for drummers today, and I think they have no further to look at than somebody like you to really see how you really should run that because I mean, it's available to everybody. You know, you,
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's got a phone and everyone's got a camera, and you
absolutely.
just kind of got to ask yourself if you want to, there's nothing wrong with going into being just drum covers, and there's nothing wrong with strictly doing educational things. I respect all of those type of accounts. I just kind of tried to find my own lane, tried to find a mix of everything
Yeah,
and take bits and pieces of people's accounts because it's funny, like some of my favorite drummers, they don't post anything,
yeah,
and I
that's
know they're
true.
Yeah, man.
super busy people, but
They're always
it's
playing
interesting.
drums.
Yeah.
Drum,
Yeah, they're always
drum.
playing drums.
They could pull a phone out and film themselves. I don't think there's a damn excuse for
Yeah,
the top
Richard
drummers
doesn't
in.
give him any quarter.
No, hell no. They
I'll
all have
say,
iPhones. They can film themselves and add a
yeah,
little pleasure to their fan base.
I'll say like a guy like Spanky is one exception. He does give out some gems. He gives out some stuff that you kind of have to break down and figure out what he's playing. But a lot of the big guys tend to not post a lot. Maybe they just don't want to show off their stuff too much.
I
Could
mean,
be.
I can understand maybe the business aspect of it and wanting
Hmm.
to protect your brand and all the
Hmm.
time and efforts you put into it because a lot of the older guys are not from this like giveaway society where everyone's just
Yeah,
giving shit away for free, hoping that you'll come buy at least one something from their site or whatever.
one though is I'd say Thomas Lang. He is ridiculous. Like
That dude
he
is amazing. Huh?
he is a
Posts so
wealth,
much.
encyclopedia of
Right.
of drumming.
Mm.
He's one of
and
my
he do-
favorite accounts
and
to
he does
follow.
great at putting himself out there. I mean, he does so
Oh
much
yeah,
fun stuff.
Hmm.
yeah. You can
And
So
really
much
such a
feel
fun
good
his
stuff.
attitude.
personality. Right, right. So I'm curious. You know, you really got social media locked down, but you know, when you got out of college, when you got out of grad, you know, what were those steps that really helped you break into gigging and like kind of growing yourself as an artist in LA? Because now I feel like every day you're posting some video with you, you know, playing quads with some pretty influential artists, or you're gigging with someone who's really big, or someone else who's really big. You're playing a show. It seems like every night. I'm
Yeah,
curious. Is drums, for one? Question one, is drums your job? Is that what you do full time?
yeah, no doubt.
Badass. Question two, I want to, as getting back to more of your story, I want to kind of hear what that started after grad school, and you know how you got to the success you're at right now.
One thing, even during grad school, I tried to take note of, and it was kind of actually influenced by one of my peers slash kind of like my big brother. His name's Jake Jameson, and he, a couple years older than me, had also done the drum corps activity, also moved down to LA, specifically UCLA, also went to grad school, and he just kind of instilled in my mind just to be adamant and hungry to drum with people and not close any door. Like just to be open-minded to play with anyone, regardless of certain circumstances. Sometimes regardless of pay, just to put it out there in the community that hey, I'm here to play. I have a super good attitude and I'm on time. I'm punctual and all these things that sometimes great players forget about. They forget that attitude precedes talent, and they
Yeah,
forget
right.
they forget that all these other things are super important in this community because they get taken for granted. So through grad school, after grad school, I found that I wasn't necessarily making a living doing this, which is hard, and luckily I got a place that I'm still living in for a very cheap rent with great neighbors that let me play and let me teach here.
That's cool.
So I really had to hustle to get the ball rolling. It's kind of that thing where you are in that phase where you're saying, how am I going to make money today versus now maybe it's like, how am I going to, pan out 4 or 5 months from now. So to work towards that comfort zone, if you want to call it, took a lot of just positive playing. Like I'm down to play with whoever. And now it's not necessarily like I'm a really picky person, but of course your schedules get busier. Now I'm really focused on putting out my own content, but to get to be working all the time, the most helpful advice was that just to be hungry and to actually act that way, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's super
Because
important.
you see a lot of people complaining that they're not working or they're not playing. But then you don't see those people at the jam sessions. You don't see those people at other shows. If you have a favorite drummer, go tell them in person. Go to
Well,
their show and go ask them. Don't ask them for an autograph. Talk to them. Say, when's your next performance? I'll come. When's your next clinic? I remember seeing Mark Giuliana like my first year in LA, and I told him I did Blue Devils, and he said he loves drum corps activity, and I had no clue. And then I started to see that in his playing more.
yeah,
Maybe he has a different spin on it, but even just that, I said, okay, he thought about combining these worlds. What can I do? Let me go into the practice room, not copy him, but just take, that little idea and make it my own.
yeah, no, I totally get it. That's pretty. That's
And look at him now.
yeah, right. Yeah,
He's
yeah. Look
on
at him
top of the
now.
drumming world. He
Absolutely.
is he is huge, and it's
Yeah,
awesome to see that.
yeah,
I'd
I
say,
love that you can play. Oof.
yeah.
yeah, no doubt. I'd
That's
say I've been very fortunate in this last year or so with at least pertaining to gigging. The whole thing about when it rains, it pours. Like with doing hired gun work, that's all freelance. There's no guarantee, but Um, Jake, who I mentioned earlier, he really helped me get my feet off the ground. When I graduated, he subbed out a Europe tour in specifically Paris for a group called Rye, and they were the biggest group I had ever played for at that time. And it was a very like last minute thing, like, hey, we're flying out in a few days. We have one rehearsal. Can you learn the album? And it
Ooh.
was an actual working experience where you kind of get slapped in the face like, are you prepared? And I felt like I did a great job. Like I felt like I respected their music, and I made sure that I didn't make him look bad. And that kind of leads to things. You could only put your best foot forward. Your playing will speak for itself, but your attitude will speak even louder.
Yeah, we've had several drummers on the podcast already, and that's a big thing. They say more important than being a monster player sometimes is just being a good dude and a good hang.
Hmm. Hmm.
Somebody that's enjoyable to be around. I mean, you're going to get more calls for people that want to have you play for them because they know that they're not going to have to deal with a prima donna or attitude or something like that. And
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
yeah, not being the person who's stressing about sound check or being late or not willing to
Yeah.
do a rehearsal or an extra hour or any of those things. It goes a long way. Being more of a mediator, in my opinion, always helps because you are going to work as a drummer with singers and bands and hired work and sessions where there might be that one person in the room, and rather, you know, add to the negativity if you can kind of make it work and go, I'm here to make, this happen, that
Hmm.
kind of attitude. It's
Be
going to go
part
a
of
long
this.
way.
Yeah,
The
be part of the
solution.
solution, not part of the problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very cool.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I'm super thankful for all the touring and the session work, and now the the fact that I can not necessarily like pick and turn down tours, but just to like look forward to coming months. That's not something I would have thought about a few years ago. So I hope it continues, and it makes, you know, doing these videos and putting out this content just as challenging. Before, when you have all the time in the world, you kind of don't think about that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's completely understandable. And just from being in the world of marketing and running social media for a bunch of clients, it's the farthest from easy to do. People think, oh, it's just Facebook, Instagram, film some videos, get it up. But there's so much
Yeah.
calculation and
Yeah,
time
when you're
spent and when to
filming it
post.
and
Right.
editing the video and also mixing the audio and mastering it and all that stuff like comes into play.
You have to be a jack of all trades. Like you
Yeah.
really do.
I was really, really grateful to spend time in grad school, not just on drumming and world music, but spent a lot of time learning Pro Tools and Ableton under John Baffa, and super great mentor of mine, and it went a long way. Now I can offer that. I can go into a hired session and go, hey, if you need backing tracks, I'm your guy. If you need someone to engineer your record, I can do that. If you want mixing, if you want, editing and whatnot. And it helps with my own videos. People, um, I hope, aren't just, looking at the drumming itself, but also the sound.
yeah.
It's what makes it, to be completely honest. Sorry, I was taking a sip of coffee.
No, you're good. I just
It's,
had one.
you're I continually tell, I speak it on the podcast, and a lot of people will, friends and Instagram friends will message me and be like, what are you tracking with? How are you getting such good sound? The video
Hmm.
sounds so good. And
Hmm.
I noticed that when I would just post videos of me in my room playing, even though it was a real drum set, playing the real
Hmm.
drum set with my iPhone, I wouldn't get the reaction that I get when I plug it into Logic and do really good audio quality and,
Yeah,
put the
that's
time
why
and
I have
effort
a lot
into
of
it.
respect for anyone on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and etc. Anyone who takes that extra time. It goes a long way, and it makes it 10 times harder.
Right.
It's not as easy as it looks.
The
Yeah.
devil is in the details.
Hmm.
But anybody can learn it too. It's attainable too.
Right.
There's so
Yeah,
many resources
anyone
out
can
there
be
to
a
find.
home producer. Anyone can learn mixing, and
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely.
out there. I I highly suggest it to any drummers trying to put out content. Don't just rely on high-end gear. I thought I would need a nice camera. I wanted to get a GoPro. I said, well, I have an iPhone. Let me just use that and buy a $20 clamp and learn how to take different shots. I thought I needed expensive mics, and instead I just went with the basics and learned how to really mix with the basics. That way, if you know how to do a lot with a little, when further down you get the expensive stuff, you can do it justice. Just like nice drums and nice cymbals. I didn't have that early on. That way, if I do get anything nice now, I appreciate it more and I try and use it to its fullest potential.
Yeah, that's super important too.
Because you get some students every now and then who just have like DW Collector series with
Phew.
Yeah,
all
right.
K customs, and you're like, oh, okay.
No, it's such a yeah, right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm 32. I don't have a drum set like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
I don't even want to talk about my kit setup. I at least have some. I at least have some symbols. They're not matching by any means, but they're there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a tough gig, isn't it?
yeah, man, and you know, I know you were saying earlier, right before we kind of started the call, you were playing with Sebastian Cole and a couple Motown artists. I was kind of curious, what led to that?
So I got a call from a good friend, Lucas, and he is killing it in the guitar world. I think he plays for John Legend and Chrisette Michelle and a whole list of people. And we're good friends and we have a lot of good mutual friends. He asked me, I don't know, it must have been like 2 months ago, to audition for this musical director. I was at like my barber getting a haircut, and luckily I had a performance reel on my Gmail drive. So if I can suggest anything to anyone out there, just be prepared with like if it's a you need to send something immediately, just have some stuff like video content, photo, anything, a bio, just ready to go. And I was lucky enough to already have like an email for a casting thing from months prior. So I just forwarded that, got the gig. It was kind of like a video audition thing and showed up. Sebastian Cole is a new artist. He wrote, I think, a bunch of songs on Alessia Cara's album. I think he wrote that song Here, and he um he moved out to LA to do a showcase and hired myself and some really other great musicians. We learned his music, did a few super long rehearsals, and it was a blast. That led to his management and maybe some record execs liking the live show enough to do a showcase for Capitol Records and Motown. And they did this thing called the New Definition of Soul with the same band backing Sebastian Cole, backing American Idol's LaPortia Renee, and also backing this other fantastic singer named Kevin Ross. I believe the three of them are working out some sort of deals with either Motown and Capitol joint, but we got to play as the same band for all three, got some really awesome footage from it, and hopefully that'll continue because the vibe is always great when you can keep the same rotating cast of guys, and rehearsals are funner that way. You get to know each other more. It's also cool to like show up and meet brand new people too, but when you get to have like a core unit, the music definitely sounds really tight.
Yeah, there's a comfort level there. You guys are
Yeah,
comfortable with each other, so just it
yeah.
sounds good. You feel it in the music.
So that was a recent thing, and I think their plan is to tour maybe next year and hopefully use the same session guys. And after that, someone who I play for pretty consistently is Jeff Burnett. He's a LA-based artist, and we went out to Korea last month for a soul festival, which was really fun for me because we were on the same bill with Maxwell and Music Soul Child and Robert Glasper, so I got to see some of my favorite people. Got to see Mark Holenberg and meet him, and we're staying in the same hotel. And Derek Hodge is there at breakfast talking to
Whoa.
us. BJ, the Chicago kid, was there with um, his band, which had Kendrick Lamar's drummer and tons of, really fantastic bands. That was the best part. It wasn't just artists, pop artists with DJs. Nothing wrong with that too, but when you get live music, it hits you in the face.
Yeah.
Right.
I think even in the pop world, at least in the last few years, there's been more of a resurgence now where you see more live
Yeah,
musicians on stage, which is so nice.
yeah, it's
So nice
it's
to
good
see.
to see. Kendrick
Yes, it is.
Lamar's band is like ridiculous to me. They have such talented musicians, and you get um, like Mary J. Blige's band, even you know, I forget his name, but Katy Perry's drummer, I've seen some videos of. There's all these kind of behind the scenes session musicians who are just killing it right now.
That's very cool.
It sounds like you're on the path to that
Yeah,
Right?
same
I hope
success,
to be.
man.
I
Yeah, you're
definitely
on the right thing.
definitely look forward to any future calls for stuff like that because I'm the most willing to drop everything and fly out the next day. I'm down for that. I'm very fortunate to not have any huge attachments. That's the trade-off. You can
Absolutely.
either have a comfort zone with a strict schedule, or you can have a freelance schedule and maybe have some weeks where you're not working, but you can always find something to do. And then when I have that time off, I really try my hardest to generate a bunch of content. I probably maybe have like a day every week or so where I just like shoot a bunch of videos and shoot and rehearse and practice and produce a bunch of stuff just in case I leave for, a few weeks and don't have the time to re-record it
Well,
and
you know
just
what?
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I thought you were pausing. But what I was gonna say was, I really want to point one thing out. I'm going back about 6 minutes into where you started, but you had that video ready on your phone, and that led to
Yeah.
that gig. That led to that gig that could potentially have been the one that could lead to some of the biggest gigs you've ever had. Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I I was very lucky
It's
to
just
have
prep.
that stuff ready.
I really like to preach that to our listeners that preparation and there's really I would like to say there's luck, but I think what luck is when hard work meets opportunity.
Hmm.
And that's the perfect example. Your hard work, your preparation, even though it was for another gig, the fact that you had that mindset. The next opportunity popped up, bam, locked it in, got the gig, and
Yeah,
it just continue
highly
it'll just continue to
suggest
get
that.
better. And then the whole freelance attitude. I think that you're right. There's two ways to really approach it. You can be comfy, and have it solidified, or you can do it the freelance way. And it seems like it's working out for you because it gives you the balance and the time it needs for you to continually prep, make more videos, focus on you, focus on your craft, and it shows in your playing because you just keep getting better. It's like you're
Thank you.
just
Yeah,
staying in one
I'm
place.
definitely trying to put in just as much practice time as I do to, shooting and writing and producing. I think practicing should never stop. And, Instagram helps me feel inspired to get better. There's so much content out there, even if it's not drumming, just musically related content that I seek and I wake up and look at and
Yeah.
drives me to go to that practice room and shed.
I love Instagram for that fact. I love social media for that reason
Yeah.
too. And you just pointed onto something that's going to lead us right into the next part of our conversation.
Hmm.
You just said, always practicing, always finding a way to practice, and you really live that life because I just want to talk about your car videos. You are one of the first people that I've seen broadcast this, and why it really stuck out to me, dude, is because I do that every day. I have
Yeah, a
the
lot of people I feel like have some sticks in their car.
right, and I could attribute some of my technique to this day, my strength with my right and left hands, my balance, my all
Yeah,
this LA traffic specifically has really honed
yeah.
it. But I think I've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years, ever since I got out of college and had to make this hour drive to work every day. I
Yeah, I
fudged
kind of
up
look
and
forward to traffic because of that fact.
right,
Just
right,
gotta sit down and
right.
jam.
I fudged up because I probably just worked on my right hand for 2 or 3 years straight before I realized I could use my left too. But
Hmm.
um,
As long as you don't
I
have stick shift.
right, right. I've done it with stick shift before. Oops, but
That's
Ooh.
crazy.
at a dead stop, at a dead stop. But you take it to the next level, dude. You're playing music. You're using more parts of your car. I'm just kind of curious. What inspired you to say, dude, I'm gonna film this and put it on the page? And what is the future of that? Have you been pulled over yet? Are you scared to be pulled over? And
I've
has
been pulled
anyone?
over for speeding in the past, but I've calmed down now. I don't think I'll get pulled over for drumming as much as maybe someone will get pulled over for texting. But
But that's what I was curious about because I've had a cop pull up next to me, roll her window down, and go, "You need to cut that shit out right now,"
whoa,
just like that. And I was like, "Okay, okay." I threw the sticks
Hey,
in the
not
back
gonna
wow.
seat.
argue. Not arguing.
Yeah, no argument. That's one thing. You just gotta say yes, sir, and put them away.
Yeah, I
But
was. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, the first one I think that I posted that was like a Michael Jackson track I had on a playlist, and I think, I mean, because a lot of the times we drive and we learn music like on the drive, whether it's for a rehearsal the next day or, upcoming session the next week. That's my favorite place to mentally prep. That way I don't have a cheat sheet in front of me. I don't have my notes or whatever, PDFs on my laptop. I'm purely listening and practicing. And that Michael Jackson track was on, and I remember handing my girlfriend my phone, and I just said like, "Can you film this really quick?" And I put it out there, and a lot of people responded to it. That kind of led to a lot of drummers saying like, "I totally relate to this." And the one where I was looping stuff, that was just I just wanted to see if I could do it. I luckily have a second interface that is you don't need a power adapter for. It's just USB powered, and it's like a cheap 2 track. I just plugged in a SM57 and didn't have a mic stand. I had like a marching stick that I jammed into my cup holder with a plastic water bottle, and I just placed the mic clip on top of that, and it worked. It was actually a shout out Ralph Nader because he just released a BYOS stick with ProMark. It was one of their sticks, so shout out to Ralph for hooking up a
Nice.
pair. And yeah, I just used everything that was in my car. I had like hand sanitizer, a drum key, and some sticks and my hands. And my mom got super angry when she saw it, but because some people were like, "Were you fake driving?" I was like, "No, I was on the 5 and I wasn't like I wasn't going 80. I could not do it if I was actually driving north from LA to the Bay. I was leaving a gas station at that point, so I was going slow enough that I kind of was just on the side road, not bothering anyone, and I just, yeah, I put my camera on I have like a little clamp holder, put it on my air conditioning vent, and it worked out. I didn't know how it would look. I didn't check it out until like 5 hours later. Thought it was kind of goofy and tried to make it sound kind of good. I just EQ'd it a little bit, and that was it. Nothing, no fake sounds, no overdubbing 808s or anything. Just my car.
Now is using your steering wheel as a practice pad, was that like a common practice for you, like
Oh
before
yeah,
you decided to film it? I mean, it's just something you kind of always done.
yeah. Since I got the car, I have a Matrix, and luckily those Toyotas they don't have like some steering wheels have like super hard plastic. Theirs are just like kind of like a practice pad, like a rubber practice pad, so it's perfect for drum set sticks. Marching sticks can kind of beat the heck out of a car, but
Yeah.
drum set sticks can be okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I try to keep like one or two pairs at all times, just kind of like throwaway pairs that are half broken, but they've come in handy so much when I've foolishly like forgotten sticks for a couple gigs, and thankfully those saved my life. So
Yeah, yeah. We've
yeah,
all done it. We've all done it once or
yeah.
twice. Just this weekend,
You're
I
in a
left my.
rush and you're not thinking, and yeah.
Oh yeah, just this weekend I left a set of my set of pedals at a gig, and luckily the sound man knows me real well, and he's like, he took
Wow,
a picture. He's like, "These yours?" And I said, "Yeah, wood beaters." He said, "Yep." I said,
wow,
"Oh yeah." And luckily he also had a key to our warehouse, so he texted me today and said, "Hey, dropped them off for you." It's like, "Oh, sweet."
wow. The worst for me was forgetting my drum throne. That is
Oh,
Oh
horrible.
man.
Like trying to
Yeah.
play on a bar stool.
oh no, no, it's
So
bad. Or
awkward.
like a regular chair, you
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. A regular chair that's way too low. It's like the
Yeah.
difference of being super high, like basically standing on a bar stool, or sitting like a toddler.
Yeah, right. That's so true. I've done that a time or two.
But
Luckily,
yeah,
never at a gig. Those were always like practice sessions. Like, oh, I've got a drum set at my house. Like, you don't even have to bring any of your
yeah,
stuff.
don't bring
And you go,
anything,
oh,
and
okay,
then
well,
they
maybe
give
they're
you a
right. You get there and
computer
you're like,
chair.
oh, really? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't you tell me? I would have brought stuff.
But for the car stuff, I think I don't maybe I'll put another one out in the future if I get inspired, but honestly, I kind of just go with my gut and go with how I feel, and I try not to force anything in my videos. I just if it's something new and something challenging to me and something I think that's kind of weird and quirky, I'll put it out. I have no intention of putting out duplicate type of ideas, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We can
I
appreciate that.
Yeah, I really maybe I admire the guys who can put out stuff like 2, 3 videos a day. Like someone like Ralph, he cranks out snare videos like none other. But um, I just mixing that marching world and drum set world and production world, trying not to pigeonhole myself into like, oh, he's the dude who just plays in his car and like put out 20 car drumming videos.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. Just like
But I'm
just like I've seen you have, videos where you're playing tenors. I've seen you have
yeah,
videos
yeah,
playing the
exactly.
kid. So
But
there's
I
definitely
am
There's a
happy
lot of
that I'm
videos.
happy that a lot of people checked it out, and thankfully, ProMark and a couple other pages were super nice to share my stuff, and you guys have shown me a lot of love too, and I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
problem.
we've been following you since like 2K followers, I think.
Yeah, it's
I
been
just
a
remember I just
been
seen
a
you
crazy
grow like
growth.
I've seen you grow like 1,000 followers in 2 days at some points. I swear
Yeah,
it's
because one
wild.
thing I didn't know, I didn't know anything about Instagram. I never read like how to gain followers. I just kind of looked at people's profiles, and you see, certain guys out there who are not necessarily big names in the drumming community, but just in the social media context have like 50,000 followers. And I'm like, I
Right.
wonder why. And purely is based on consistent content using good tagging, good hashtagging, and getting featured. And it's kind of like getting gigging work. The best way to think about it is if you put yourself out there enough, the probability of you getting work or you getting featured is going to go up. It's
Right.
not luck, it's just putting it out there enough,
It's putting in the work. I mean,
putting in the work and
it's
putting
putting in the
yourself
work.
out there.
Luck. I mean,
So
I guess sometimes you have to be maybe a little lucky, but for the most part, that luck
yeah,
can just be replaced by hard work and
yeah,
dedication.
no
And
doubt.
you're kind of a testament to that. I mean, all of our young listeners that are wondering how would I be able to do it? Take notes from Amir here because I mean he's in one of the most competitive areas in the country to be a musician, doing
No
it
doubt.
right,
Yeah.
and
LA
giving
is
you all
full of
sorts of
guys.
good tips here.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the community out here. It's like you said, I think when you guys said it earlier, there's a big sense of giving in the younger generation. Not just drummers, just musicians and producers. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, and you can really teach yourself almost anything you want. The drum resources on YouTube are ridiculous. Like I remember
Oh
when
yeah.
when I got started, I had to go see stuff in person and like figure it out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's that's funny you bring that up because I personally had never had lessons probably until the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. But
Hmm.
my first 6 years of playing drums were completely, you know,
driven by watching YouTube videos of
Hmm.
covers and stuff like that. I've been trying to learn my favorite band songs, so
Yeah.
I really learned a little bit more about feel that way. But that approach to learning drums, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me, just not super recently, but I do give lessons at Musicians Institute sometimes and cover for some other teachers. Um, and I remember teaching a lesson there, and one of the kids didn't necessarily come from a background where they were accustomed to getting lessons. They were more self-taught, but they were asking like, "Hey, I want to play hip hop, and I want to be a hip hop drummer." And I said, cool, like check out Questlove, check out Chris Dave, check out this huge list of guys that he didn't know about. But then I
Sure.
asked him, like, what do you listen to? And none of it was hip hop. And I just thought that was like common sense. If you want to be a jazz drummer, or if you want to get better at Afro-Cuban, or if you want to get better at Brazilian, regardless, whatever type of style, you have to listen to it. You have to envelop into your ears to it, and you have to respect the traditional side of those styles and genres. If you want to be a rock drummer, listen to rock. It makes sense. Like
Right.
you can't force it. You can learn the right stickings and coordinations, but you're never going to have the proper feel. If you want to play R&B and soul, listen to Bill Withers, listen to James Gadson. If you want to learn how to play a shuffle, listen to Bernard Purdie and John Bonham. It's out there. And there's plenty of transcriptions of that stuff, but if you don't enjoy listening to it, you're never going to have the feel right. You know what I mean? If you want to play like Chris Dave, don't just copy him. Like listen to the records he's played on. And that's kind of maybe I feel like a maybe an old school way of thinking where people put records on. They like really listened to Tony Williams and figured it out and didn't have the videos to figure out what he was actually, sticking and
Sure.
just go by the tone. That's why I love some of the musicians I've met who don't read and they've only learned from ears, and it's insane how their feel is. Like you can't always teach feel. People say practice to a metronome, but then you can get your groove up to par. It also has to go with listening. You have to really study that. You can't just read all the transcriptions in the world, without giving just as much thought to hearing those
Absolutely.
parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's super spiritual too. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't bring that up, but playing drums is a very spiritual thing. You're very connected with
Yep.
your two, three, four, five pieces of wood, and I agree. You can't teach feel. I think it maybe in some terms yes, but I think it's all felt and it comes from experience. Feel
Yep.
comes from experience, and
Mm, yeah. And like you say, playing to records, playing along with music, playing with other musicians, that's what all develops
Yeah,
that, you know
because
what I mean?
the records have a flow. Live music
Yeah.
has a flow. It's not always going to be at one specific tempo. There's a time and place for that, no doubt about that. And I highly suggest practicing to a metronome too. I come from drum corps. That's all we
Oh
did.
yeah.
That helped me so much when I started
Sure.
doing pop tours where there's backing tracks. There was no problem for me to rehearse to that and be ready for that situation. There's a time and place for everything, but when it comes to involving yourself in the creative process, involving yourself in sessions where you're helping write drum parts and dictate the feel to a song, there's no better help than listening to records and listening to the records that your favorite drummers played on. If you like Steve Gadd, listen to what he played on.
absolutely.
You're gonna
I
hear his best playing like that too.
But it's
yep.
so funny because it's so easy, I think, to hear maybe a handful of younger people to be like, oh yeah, I love Steve Gadd. It's like, oh yeah, have you listened to a lot of Paul Simon? And they're like, well, no. And or if they do, they're like, oh, I can't really. And you're like, then
Yeah,
what
I
are you?
mean,
Yeah, what are you doing?
you don't have to like you don't
You
have
don't
to
have to
make
love
it
it,
your daily music,
right?
but you gotta give some time to it at least, and at least shed to it, because there's a big difference. You're gonna find some simplicity in that. You're gonna say, "Wow, I didn't know how hard it is to just repeat myself on a four bar phrase." and not play a fill. Like I didn't know how hard that is. You're
It's been
gonna
a
start to
long
ask
time.
yourself a lot of questions like that.
Richard, I think Javon made it a point to talk about that when he was on. You know, he gave everybody like a challenge. He said, "I challenge everybody to play a groove for like 2 minutes straight and not play one
Yeah,
fill."
I love that. I love that.
So,
That's awesome.
first lesson he taught me: just play this. Don't do anything. Just play this. Open the hi hat. Open the hi hat here. Close it here. Play this. Don't play anything else, and do it every day for like 10 minutes.
Man,
And
one of
that
the Go
discipline.
ahead.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that
Yeah.
discipline is exactly what I'm talking about. Like one of the most eye-opening things for my drumming was the discipline in tabla in North Indian music. I was lucky to go to Cal Arts where you have teachers like Randy Gloss and Swapan Chaudhary who are fantastic world percussionists, some of the best in the world, and the way they teach, it's with a very high level of expectation, even if you're a beginner. I'm coming from, maybe having some advanced experience in drum set and marching percussion, but when it came to quads, may have been just a 2-year old again. You know what I mean? Like I was starting from square one. No doubt it was frustrating, but just the mental aptitude that they have, just practicing 10 hours a day and just choosing one syllable phrase and repeating it 100 times. If you mess up, start back at one. The the discipline that took, that changed everything for me. It opened me up to not just different rhythmic cycles, not just hearing drum set with tones, not just finger techniques, but just mental strength.
Yeah, definitely. Takes a lot of mental strength, that's for sure.
Yeah, I suggest if any of the people listening haven't checked out tabla and North Indian music, check it out. Like check out not just the records, and you have Ravi Shankar as a huge person in that music, but check out some videos. Check out how these musicians practice and how spiritual it is. You guys brought that up earlier. I mean, this is very spiritual and religious music. It's pretty
Absolutely.
well.
You know what? I just watched that drumming video. It came out in I think towards the end of June, maybe in July, but it had Will Calhoun. It was like
Oh yeah,
frequency
awesome.
that that frequency rhythmic assimilation video.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called. I'm gonna
Will is
quote
a
it wrong.
beast.
He embraces all those different rhythmic sections, different
Yeah.
phrasing patterns, and like really just being more than just a drummer. His whole audio rig and that MIDI devices he put
Mm-hmm.
together that he uses next to him. He's just like I never had seen anything like that until I'd watched him really
Yeah.
play and listen to him talk. And I was gonna say, how familiar are you with him? Which of course you were very familiar with him.
Yeah, you got him. You have guys like Steve Smith. You have
Oh
Vinny
yeah.
and Chris Coleman even. They're obsessed with not just odd time signatures, but where those are rooted from. If you study Balkan music, if you study Turkish music, if you study, West African music, if you study, South American and Cuban music, you have traditional idioms in those music and genres that will show you like how can you be comfortable in 7/8 or 5/8 or 25/16 or anything you want. You can
Yeah.
make it your own. Chris Coleman's sense of practice and his skill with odd time is like none other to me. It's not just, some people call him a gospel drummer. I really don't believe that. I think he has such a well-rounded mind with drumming, and I put him right up there with the best in the world.
He is actually funny enough. He's my favorite drummer of all time. Like
Yeah, he does
like
things that scare me.
outside of like drummers that are my favorite because they're in a band or anything like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
drummers for drummers,
Just a
he's like
drummer's drummer. Yeah, I
like
can't agree more.
first guy I ever got hooked on that I was like, oh my god, I have to watch everything
Yeah,
and learn
those
everything.
NAM videos, man, they're
Right? Yep. Those
and
videos.
he's the there goes attitude right there. He has the best, nicest, most genuine, pure attitude about
He looks
drumming.
so
He
cool.
makes
I
you happy to watch him. He makes you
right.
happy to practice.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that that people regard him as like a gospel drummer or in that section.
it's the funniest thing is when I first started watching him, I was playing in like tech metal bands, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I loved watching him because I felt like he like bridged this gap
Oh yeah.
between the gospel playing and like all the chops to like functional rock playing, and I was just so impressed by
Yep.
the stuff that I could take from watching him and apply to my own playing. It was amazing.
Great, great role model for not just chops, but feel and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, educational tools and technique and clarity around the kit, sound quality. You just, the list goes on. The guy has, he really has it all. And if you get the chance to go see him in person and meet him, he is super approachable, super nice, has everything to give, nothing to hide.
One
And
day.
yeah, that type of stuff rubs off on me big time.
That's awesome, man. And it definitely shows. Definitely getting to really hear about your story, your background. It's all coming together for me. So
Cool. Glad to
it's
hear it.
it's it's been pretty cool, man. And what we've learned a lot. And what before we get into the near end of the show, I'm kind of curious. What's going on right now for you? What do we have to look forward to for Amir?
So right now, the most recent things were me signing with Promark and Evans, and you know,
Hell yeah.
I had kind of just I hadn't waited because of any specific things. I just I try to be patient with these things. I try not to rush into any decisions in my career. I just try to make sure anything I put out there, I'm super proud of to have my name on. So that the Dario family has been extremely supportive, and I can't be more thankful for that. Ralph and I are still working together. We both have, pretty hectic schedules, and whenever we can meet up, we really try our hardest to put out some quality content. We
I
just put
love it. I
out,
love watching it. It's so they're
yeah,
so good.
yeah, we just put out a video today with this incredible tap dancer, and that's up, on Instagram now. But as far as things coming up in the future months, I'm playing with this pop group, Mr. Little Jeans. She's a singer from Norway, and she's based in Los Angeles. And there's a potential 6-week tour, and in the midst of that, I have PASIC in November with my world music group Dara, and I have a couple other clinics I'm going to be doing, and also earlier in the new year, I'm looking to do a few more clinics, and I couldn't be more happy to share not just the marching aspect of my playing or the drum set aspect of my playing, but just the compositional aspect of how, I approach things, how I try to manipulate my sounds, how I try to use simple tools. Ableton Live is a great, great resource. Pro Tools, Logic, GarageBand, your iPhone, any of these things, and really use them to shape your sound and also shape your practice regimen. Um, but yeah, besides clinics and performing, I just wrapped up mixing a singer's album and kind of taking a break on my ears and getting back into the practice room again. That was about a 3-month process, working on an EP where I was producing, engineering, mixing, and mastering. And with any new endeavor, I really try and dedicate as much time possible to that to make it just as good a quality as anything else. If I pick up tabla, I'm not going to put out a video until I feel like my tabla playing is just as good as maybe my drum set playing is.
Yeah, well, that's good. You want to make sure that it's something
And
you're going to
pay
be proud
respect
of.
to that. Yeah,
It's got
pay
to be it's
respect to
got to
the
be
people
something
who
that
do it full time,
yeah, yeah, big
because I
time.
really, really see that in not just the Los Angeles community, but in the community of drummers. It's if you do have other traits and other skills, don't hide them. Like, be proud of them, work on them, refine them, because if you put just as much work and dedication to those, that's who people seek out. Yes, there's people out there who are just the drummers, but even Chris Coleman is a ridiculously good bass player. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
it's scary. The things that Jojo Mayer does with, you know, just the production side of drumming is scary. And same
He
with
is
Benny
so fun to
Greb.
watch. Mm.
Yeah.
Him and Benny are definitely, JoJo's been on the scene a little bit longer. I feel like, at
Hmm.
least from what I've seen. But JoJo was also one of my first favorite drummers because of that him bridging the gap between what
Yeah.
I would feel like is that electronic, drum machine style playing and actually making it attainable as a drum set player. And
Yep, and his educational side is
mhm.
insane. Like the DVDs he's put out are by far some of the best I've ever seen.
I
Yeah.
still always go back to the JoJo Mayer sitting down with Aaron Spears, the Beyond the Chops video, like
Yeah,
watching those two
yeah.
talk. Oh man, that's so much.
It's awesome.
So much fun to watch.
Yeah. I kind of just really try to stay as goal oriented as possible with not just drumming, but composition and engineering. I'm trying to find a happy balance between these things and not force anything, just making sure everything is as high quality as possible, but with the right intention behind it.
Of
Like,
course.
So
you're,
anything
you're
in the
doing it the right way, and
upcoming
it
months.
shows.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
definitely,
looking forward to the future months ahead.
definitely.
Super excited to share some some upcoming projects. I've been sitting on a few lengthier videos for a few years now that I just want to dial in, and then I'll debut a YouTube channel and put that out there.
That's awesome, man. So I'm pretty excited about this podcast. I've really learned a lot about you, and you know, not
Yeah,
only
I'm happy to
are
share.
not only have you really given our users an awesome path to follow, some great understanding, but you've really shown that you can build your way from the bottom to the top if you put in the hard work, if you really take
Yeah,
it strategically and put in the efforts. And
yeah.
you don't essentially have to have connections would be the
There,
right word.
yeah, there's no rush. It really
Right.
doesn't matter if you're 16 or if you're 40. Like, there's no rush. You just gotta sit down and really think about who you want to be and who you want people to perceive you as. If you stay true to that, people will really respect you. They will see right through anyone who's, putting up a fake wall, fronting as someone that they're not. If you're
Sure.
genuine and pure and happy with what you do and you love it, people will stick with you. The right people will surround themselves with you.
Very good words of advice. So,
Very true.
Amir, are you ready to play a game?
Sure, is this the lightning round
Nope,
No,
we're gonna get
or is
this is
the
actually
the
good. Yeah. The
metronome?
game before the game.
yeah, the game
Okay.
before the game. I just sent you the link right now. I don't know if you're on your computer yet. Are you on your computer?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Did you send it through
I sent.
Skype?
Yep. I don't know if there's another way. If I have you on Facebook or not, I can send it to you through Facebook too. Um,
Okay, let me see.
I'll have to get some like
fine.
Jeopardy. I'll have to get some Jeopardy music here.
I just made you my friend.
Here, I got the link.
Oh, you
I'm
got the
gonna
link?
just. I think if I switch to my computer, I might have to end the call. So let me just pull a link up on my phone since I have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to play it on your phone or not, but we'll see.
Do you think I could play it through my computer speakers?
Yeah, you can play it on your computer
Let's
and just keep us on the
like
Skype
stay on the
call.
Skype call
Yeah,
with you
yeah,
here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
pull
Yeah,
the
that
link
should
up
work
on my
fine.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay, let me do that. Here, I'm gonna copy that link. Isn't the Loop Loft where Eric Harlan did that whole pack? Or is
Say that
that
again.
isn't the Loop Loft what Eric Harlan used for that drum pack
Could
I
and
be.
don't.
Mark Giuliano?
It could be.
Fin key. Sorry, I'm like literally typing this out so I don't end the
Oh,
Skype call.
yep. You're right.
No
Yep,
worries.
you're right. You were right on that. They have
I
a
don't want
pizza
to
bottom. Oh, cool. Okay, don't skip the Skype call. I can send it to you through Facebook. I just added you as a friend.
Okay, I got it.
He's
Okay,
got
cool.
it.
I got I got the link up.
Cool.
Ryan's Corner, can you keep perfect time? Take this test.
There you go.
Here
Okay.
we go. So just
So
to
do
give
you
you a
guys
quick
want me to just
explanation.
hit play?
Yeah, so you hit play, but use your keyboard. It'll probably be easier. Take your keyboard to follow it, and what's going to happen is it's going to play a metronome, and then it's going to drop the sound out, and you got to keep the beat. So it'll measure you based on that.
And I'm keeping the beat on my computer keyboard.
Yes.
You can use your mouse or your keyboard. I suggest keyboard. It's easier.
Okay, I'll try this out. Let's make sure I'm mentally prepared to lose this game.
Oh no,
Alright,
it's
here we
I
go.
mean it's just gonna give you a number score base kind of a thing. It's fun. You'll find a lot of guys find it becomes quite addicting.
All right, here we go. Okay. I scored 668.
Nice, nice.
668.
That's probably not too good.
Well, it's your first time. It's your first
your
time,
first
right?
time.
You've never seen this thing before, right?
All right, yeah, we're gonna be here until I get 1,000. I'm not even gonna call.
Well, see, that's
Oh,
the problem. With
no.
that's the problem with that game. Is you're right. You will be there till you get 1,000. It's addicting. You're like, hey, I got to try this again.
That's good though. I like that.
Isn't that fun?
There's also, I forget what it was called. There's like some metronome app my roommate had where it kind of sets you up with maybe like 4 measures of click, and then it divides it. And then by the end, you're getting 1 click every like 8 measures or something.
Okay.
And sees how good you can play kit to it, and then it kind of adds
interesting.
it back in. It's like a little metronome divider, maybe somewhere on Google. I do not remember if it was like an app, but yeah, thank you for showing me that. I'm probably gonna be on this thing for like the rest of the day.
I think
Yeah,
Orban's still
it's pretty
tweeting
fun.
us. I'm pretty sure Travis Orban's still tweeting us on all of it. It's like, I can't. I've got a better score. I've got a better score.
Yeah,
What's the
it's-
best
I mean,
score you guys have gotten?
I'm a 906, I think.
Wow.
But that's from like I haven't done it since we first did this game. I haven't done it in a while, and that was I think me and Kevin got a 905 and a 906. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they were really
we were
close.
like a number off of each other.
I will say
Who
I
got
think
906?
that was my
And who got
second time
905?
playing.
Maybe it was my second time. I don't know. I thought it was my first.
Well, I played because I came across it. I was doing something and it wasn't. I didn't even find it from from the Loop Loft. It was like somebody had it on a blog post like, hey, this is a really cool game, and I clicked the link and I was like, oh, whoa, hey,
Yeah.
wait a
Hey,
minute.
well,
here.
when you have Vinny Caluta on the show, I'm sure he'll get 1,000 with his left pinky toe or something.
Yeah, right. He'd probably be like, here, why don't you just never even put the metronome on from the first place, and I'll just figure out what is going on without
I'll tell
ever
you what the metronome is.
Yeah.
Hey, what is it? 68.
make
Cool, I
the
got that.
metronome. That's like
awesome.
has anybody seen that meme that came out? I think this past
Yeah.
last week. What it's got Vinny on there as the most interesting man, and it says
Oh,
it
yeah.
says-
I know exactly
what
what
was
you're
it?
talking about.
What the heck was it that it said exactly? It was like, I don't always play on the downbeat, but when I
Oh,
do,
I saw that.
be confused or something something
yeah.
great. It was fat.
Man, that guy is an inspiration.
Yeah, he is very much so. I was I had a chance to see. I'm in Florida, all the way on the other side
Oh,
of the
cool.
on the country, but I had a chance to see Jeff Beck in Orlando when
Wow.
he was when Vinny was touring with him, and I was with my dad. My dad's a bass player, and we're both musicians and music fans, so we went and I think it was like the second song my dad kind of said to my ear. He said, they really should have named this concert, an evening with Vinny Caluta featuring Jeff Beck, because it was like
Yeah.
both were just like, oh my God, Vinny, oh my God.
That's how I felt when I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl with Herbie Hancock. I was just fixated. I mean, the man is a legend, no doubt
He
about
is.
that.
He is, and an inspiration to all of us. So
Hmm.
thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, shout out to Vinny if he ever stumbles upon this particular podcast.
And we hope so. We hope he does.
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of leads us into our lightning round. We like to call them rapid singles, and we
Okay.
kind of prepped you a little bit for what this was pre-show here. But they're simple questions. There's just basically giving our listeners some great insight into some valuable questions. So without further ado, we'll start it off with question number one. Are you ready?
Yes.
What was holding you back from becoming a successful or professional drummer? Was that like one thing that you had to overcome to really bring your playing to that absolute next level, where you felt that significant difference?
Uh, I'd say the one thing that held me back was being selfish with my playing and not giving. And when I started to give and be more open-minded, I received a wealth of knowledge, and it showed in my playing. I grew a lot, matured a lot in my playing. So I definitely would say prior to that, I was really stubborn, and I didn't want to show anyone what I was playing, didn't want to post any videos, and that changed big time.
Yeah, well, there you go. And you're the first one to answer that question in that manner. So that's good stuff right there.
Cool.
So moving on to question number two. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received, related to drums?
Kind of said it earlier, so I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
know
I
you
should
did. I
repeat
thought
it,
you might
but
reference that, but go ahead and reference it anyways, just in case.
yeah, I'd say if you're hungry about becoming a better drummer and a successful musician, the best piece of advice is attitude. At the end of the day, will always, always, always precede talent. It will trump any of the best players in the world if you have a positive attitude. Yes, you have to be good. Yes, you have to have certain chops. Yes, you have to listen to the music and learn your part. But having a great attitude, being punctual, and being a positive person to be around, a good hang, is going to go way further in your career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good advice. Good advice. Question number three. And this might kind of play into the next one because I just have a funny feeling, but what's a personal habit that contributes to your success as a drummer?
Um, yeah, I would say drumming in the car.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I could feel it coming. Yeah.
And it's a habit. It's a personal habit, and there you go. I mean,
No doubt about
that's
that. It's been a
perfect.
habit since I was 16.
Yeah, drumming in the car. I like it. I like it.
Hmm.
Question number four. Share a resource or tool that helps you survive as a drummer.
Um, that's interesting because there's more like blatant tools, and then there's more, um, I guess, philosophical ones. I'd say one tool that's helped me survive as a drummer, and just go really delve further into my playing is YouTube. Like, no doubt about that. It's YouTube has been a huge tool in pushing me to strive to get better. It's shown me a whole community of drummers that I didn't even know existed.
Very excellent answer. It's an invaluable resource for
Yeah,
us drummers, and it really, I mean, it's such a great platform that it really, I mean, it's for anybody. I mean, if you're
yeah,
into building this or playing bass or I mean,
yeah.
there's a ton of stuff.
The
So
majority of my influences I would have never found out about if it hadn't been for YouTube or someone sharing a YouTube link.
yep, there you go. So question five here, and I think you'll be a good guy to answer this question because this one can be tough sometimes with some drummers. But recommend just one book, and what would it be and why?
Mm, I have a I have a lot of books on drumming.
I
Man, honestly, like, there's a new Daphne's book that just came out. I'm interested in buying, but um, the one of the book.
Is there just like one of those books like through the years that just always stands out in your mind? Like, oh, that book.
I honestly, I really always loved the David Garibaldi book. I forget the name. I don't know if it's like the Code of Funk or something.
It is something
It
like that.
it just
Richard.
it really like because I got put onto like
I'm looking.
Louis Belson's book, and I got put onto like the Drummer's Bible, Jim Chapin's book. Um, those help.
You know which one I've wanted to play with that I never have
Huh.
is what is oh gosh, now I'm gonna draw a complete blank.
It's the code of
Oh, the
funk,
New
by the way.
Breed.
You were right.
Gary Chester.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's a lot out there. Like, for instance, some books work in a really helpful way, and some can go way over your head and not necessarily be as beneficial as maybe just listening to that music and figuring it out for yourself. So, I would just say David Garibaldi's for me particularly helped a lot because I already had a good understanding of sight reading and I had a good understanding of rudiments at the time, and it just showed me how to apply it in a really interesting way between my hands and feet.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's
Very
a fantastic funk drummer, no doubt
And
about that.
I love listening to his stuff in Tower of Power between him
Yeah,
and the bass lines. Like I could just sit there and listen to his drumming and their bass player, just
it
all day.
opened my mind to like how many things you could do with a paradiddle or an inverted paradiddle,
Yeah,
and yeah, it took me a long way. So I love that book. I still have it.
good stuff. So now we get on to the dreaded question number 6, and this one is not quite as quick as quick of a question. This is kind of more like a scenario, so to speak.
Hmm.
And we still work the kinks out in it because we've I think we've done it for at least five to seven shows. I think we've done this for. And we're still trying to see exactly how it works out,
Hmm.
but you'll have to close your eyes and think of this. Imagine you wake up in a world that's exactly like the one we have now, and you still have all the same drumming knowledge and skills that you have right now, but you're in a town. You don't know anybody. You don't have any drumming connections. You don't have any musician connections. You're just kind of like you're here. All you have is you have a place to stay. You have $500 cash. You got a smartphone, and you got a small at least a drum kit that you can get around to and
Hmm.
from gigs. And with all that being said, what would you do if you kind of had to start over with all that?
I would first meet as many people possible and see what kind of community I was in. Because if you have a strong community behind you and you don't start making music and videos just for other people, but you just see what people support, maybe play on the street and play at jam sessions if those existed in this community. I would do that before even maybe trying to film myself and get kind of a online presence. I really would suggest being physical with your craft. Like go out there and put in that that groundwork. You know,
Get out in the real world.
yeah, because it's not gonna come to you. Like it never will. There's some people out there, and I hate to say this. Like there's some people out there who rely so much on social media, and they can like twist and make and edit the heck out of these videos to make them seem like the most ridiculous musicians in the world, but when you put them in a live context, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Like the physical aspect of these things, like for me, live playing, live music will never die. It's the realest, like rawest thing you can do. And people respond to that. Like that'll take you super far, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
I will say this, like without a doubt, seeing guys like Chris Coleman in person changed my life way more than a YouTube video.
Yeah. No, totally understandable.
So
You're right. When
if it
you're
were that
standing there, it's a whole
scenario,
other deal.
yeah, when you're standing face to face with sound quality, you kind of change your outlook on and your approach on how you want to grow and become a better musician.
I'm sure you can attest to it. But anytime I've ever done that, where I've ever gone out and and seeing, a drummer I look up to in a live setting like that, when I come home for like 2 weeks straight, it's like I can't peel myself off the drums. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
pure inspiration just fed straight into you,
because
and
look
you
at the
can't get
flip
it just
side.
by listening to something or
Yeah,
watching a video. You got to be there
yeah.
to feel the energy.
Like, look at the flip side. Like, what's worse than seeing someone you really, really look up to and you've seen all this content and footage, and then you see them in person and it's not gonna measure up to what the
Yes.
videos were, then what do you start to ask yourself? You're like, well, what is real? And so when you see
True.
the real deal and you see your big inspirations, like guys like Chris, Mark Juliana, and JoJo, and all these other fantastic musicians, and you see them do the real thing in person, it's so much more inspiring, and it makes you twice as hungry, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, that's okay. That one kind of is engineered to be that way. You know what I mean? And like I say, we're still always kind of working the kinks out too. But
Yeah, that was a
it kind
good
of provides
question.
a yeah, it provides an interesting kind of makes somebody think outside of the box a bit on the
Right.
fly. So it's fun.
Hmm.
That's the point. That's why we leave it for the last question.
That's right.
Awesome.
Dreaded question number 6.
Hey, it's not too bad. It made me think.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh yeah, so it's been quite the show, Amir. Man, I've definitely enjoyed sitting here and learning about you, learning about your story, and kind
Thank
of
you
getting
so
inside
much.
your mind a little bit. Yeah, there's tons of value here for our listeners, and I really hope that they take to kind of your style of doing things and start trying to make their voices a little more unique. Thinking outside of the box is a big deal here, and
Yeah, there's not one right way to do anything.
right, no
That's
formula.
that's that's the thing. Everyone's got their own path, and if you can be more open-minded to it, it's gonna take you super far.
Absolutely.
So before we cut this baby off, Amir, let's tell our listeners how they can find you,
Hmm.
when they can expect to see you live next, if you're offering any lessons or any offers right now, how they can get to that, and then of course any shout outs or
Cool.
people you want to say thank you to.
Yeah, so far as social media goes, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, at Amir Oosman, AmirOosman. And in the future, I will be debuting a YouTube channel with a series of videos that, for me, I feel have been very challenging and rewarding. And I'm just making sure that they're the highest quality I can put out. So besides that, I definitely want to shout out Ralph Nader from BYOS, Harvey as well, and um, my Jumanji family, Dara World Music is my world music group, and want to shout out um, basically all the if any of them listen, all the drummers who've influenced me, a lot of which I've named on this podcast, and thank you for giving me the tools and all the people on social media continuing to put out positive content because if you don't think I'm watching, I probably am watching, and I really do appreciate people who put the best versions of themselves out there without any fear of failing. I'm super into that. So as far as me playing live, I have a show this Sunday if you're in Los Angeles, Blue Whale in downtown LA, and it's with my group Jumanji, and it's a really fantastic jazz club. You can find out more information on Facebook, JOOMANJI, and if you want to email me about lessons, it's just usmanamir@gmail.com. I'm happy to give Skype lessons. I have a studio in LA that I can also give lessons in person at, and yeah, I'm just working on my website right now, and I'll be including a lot of user-friendly educational content as well. So,
Very cool. Looking forward
yeah,
to checking it out.
Yep, me
yeah,
too.
thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh man, thank you for being on with us. It's been a great show. I think there's really a lot, I mean, our definitely our latest shows have really been packing in a lot of value. But once again, this is another show that you learn young listeners and up and coming drummers that are really just trying to break into that scene. This is invaluable stuff that Amir has shared today, and give it a try. there's no harm, no foul in trying. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work so well for you, so you try something else. But
Yeah,
if you're
please
really,
don't be scared of
you
failing.
know,
That's the main thing.
I do want to
absolutely.
point out to our listeners, we are not liable if you wreck your car playing drums. So, neither,
We're
neither
not
is Amir.
responsible for that.
We're not responsible
Yeah,
for that. So, if you want to
that's
do it,
why
you're
that's
do
why
it at
it's
your
taken me a
risk.
while to put another one out there because I'm a little terrified of doing the next one.
I know, right?
People will seek me out and try and mess with me on the road.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna get
Yeah.
you. I'm looking for you every time I'm driving. I'm like, where's Amir? I don't see someone shredding
Hey,
on the
blue
road.
Toyota Matrix, easy to spot. You can't miss it.
There you
I'm
go.
looking. I'm looking. I'll find you.
Yeah. Well, thank you
All right.
guys.
Of course, Amir. Thank you for your time once again, and we'll be in touch. I'll shoot you a little text. I know since you'll be doing something Sunday. Let me see what I'm doing. Maybe I can come out and
Yeah, I'd be happy to
get some
put you on the
videos.
guest list. Yeah,
Awesome,
Yeah.
man. I'll
it'd
get
be
some drum
fun.
vids of you. It'll be
I
super fun.
can't fly you out from Florida, but
No, no,
if you're
no.
ever in LA,
Well,
then
if maybe if
please.
you're at NAM this year, maybe we'll have a chance
Yeah,
to
I'll
catch
be at
up.
NAM, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'll be at NAM.
Hopefully we'll be there too. That's the plan. So
Cool.
Yeah,
Happy to hear it.
we'll hang out.
All
that's
right.
right.
Thank you guys. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Amir. Thanks so much.
Have a great
Take it
night, man.
easy.
Yeah,
Peace.
good night.
Well, I don't know whether to say that was just a great podcast or to drop everything now, go get a glass bottle, a plastic ketchup bottle, this weird wicker basket, and my Xbox, and make a drum set out of it. Get the mics out and record it and just see what comes out of it, because now I'm extremely, what would be the word? Having a stoner moment here.
Extremely.
Inspired. I'm extremely inspired. So, yeah, that was a great podcast, man. Amir is definitely from a different planet, and I mean that in the most humble and nice way possible. For sure.
Such work ethic and drive and such a mastery of the instrument, and there was so much knowledge. I mean, so much knowledge poured out of this episode. This is definitely going to be an episode you're going to want to go back and listen to a couple times to make sure you catch everything, because I mean, just in everything he kind of talked about, there's things to take away from that to apply to your own mindset or to your own ideas. It's going to help you be a better drummer.
Dude, he's a total badass. He knows how to play everything. He knows so many different styles. A style that I've never even heard of before. So yeah, his cultured ability to play everything. So all these different cultures of music and all these different voices, and be so down to earth and cool, and not like this uptight dude that's been sitting in a garage playing drums for 23 hours out of the day every day. It just spoke volumes, especially about the drum community as a whole, because we're definitely a different breed of people, in my opinion, and some of the most unique, inspirational, and kind characters come out of this community. And Amir is definitely right up there with some of the most creative drummers I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
He will definitely be a name that people don't forget one day, for
No,
sure.
I agree. I mean, a couple of probably my favorite standout moments on the show were just kind of hearing him say how he went into drum corps without ever really playing on a drum line before. I mean, that to me, that just baffled my mind. Like, I'd never heard. I mean, like I said, anybody I'd ever know, they'd gone all through high school, or at least because with the age limits for drum corps, you can actually do it when you're still in high school. I believe it's just summertime, so that way some of these kids that are still in school can go out and do DCI.
Right.
And to hear him just say that he went right into it was really cool. And what was that other point that I had that was really good before I went off on a tangent about him going straight into the Blue Devils from drum set? Well, I'll think of it here and I'll interrupt Richard at some point.
Yeah, I'm not so familiar with that world like you are, and it's just impressive to hear a story, and of course being able to really go from I guess this one aspect of playing to moving right into what was it you said he was able to do it so quickly. Now I'm having
Yeah,
a
yeah.
moment.
Like I said, I mean, like I said, most guys they have some sort of formal, if they're going to go play tenors in DCI, they've been playing tenors at least for a few years on a drum line, so
Right.
they know they kind of get it. Same thing via the snare drum or the bass drummers. You know what I mean? So it's pretty rare you just hear like a guy. It's like, no, I just played the drum set and then, in a jazz band through school and then wanted to join DCI. It's pretty crazy. But the other
Yeah.
the other point that I wanted to bring up actually was just the fact that Amir is still very young. He's 25 years old, and to hear him, he really has those great legendary influences, and kind of can talk old school legendary drummers. There's a handful of drummers out there that don't pay those guys as much heed sometimes, and you're
Absolutely.
doing yourself an injustice by not knowing those names. So if you hadn't heard any of
Yeah.
those names, you better go look them up and check them out because it's for your own good.
Go do it. I was totally that drummer before I met Kevin, and even for a big chunk time of me knowing Kevin and growing with him, doing drummers I like, and really becoming better friends with him and understanding it's that core knowledge and understanding of going like take it from someone like Daniel Glass too. You got to go back and you got to learn about how this
The
all
history,
became.
man. The history.
It plays a vital role because knowledge is seriously power. I could for one say that mental practice is attributed to 50% of what I understand and know how to do when I'm physically playing. So reading and learning, it's so valuable. It's just you got to do it. You got to learn and you got to understand who is who and why is what. And you got to go start, man. Go start with Purdy. Go start with Caluta. These guys are legends, and Kevin can go even deeper. So we need to do a show about that, by the way. Drummers Legends with Kevin.
We'll
Legends
just
of
have.
drums,
I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to do some preparation for that one.
bro. You are a walking encyclopedia of drum knowledge. So,
I don't know.
yeah,
I do my best. I do my best.
yeah. But yeah, all in all, I just every show for drummers alike has been so unique, and Amir just adds right to that pot. So once again, a big thank you to him for coming on the show. That was definitely a great experience, and I cannot wait to get out to an LA gig and watch him play in person. It's going to be unreal, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Make plans. Take Aaron out. Get a babysitter. Enjoy
Get
some
that
dinner, and
babysitter, take the
go watch
wife
some.
out.
Yeah, go watch some Amir Oosman.
Yes, it'll be a blessing and an amazing night to my ears.
That's right.
So before I cut this show, let me direct our users over here to our social media channels because a follow, a like, and a retweet would be freaking sweet. It's going to be at Drummers I Like for Instagram and Twitter, and it's going to be Facebook.com/Drummers I Like, YouTube.com/Drummers I Like. Kevin, what else should they be doing besides following us on social media?
They should be leaving us some reviews to make sure that we're not doing anything stupid.
Yeah, because we don't want to be stupid or
We don't
sound
want to be
stupid.
stupid.
So let us
We want to
know.
we want to be the best podcasters we can for you. So give us your feedback. Let us know if you like a segment on the show and you want to tell us, hey, keep that going. We like it. It's a great piece. Then let us know. If you want to let us know that you don't like this segment or you don't like something about the show, let us know too. We want to know. We want to know what you guys have to say.
Honesty is the best policy.
As long as it's constructive,
Yeah. Well, you don't get that these days with the internet.
Sometimes it's non-constructive, but hopefully it's
Trolls
constructive.
are real.
They are.
They are
And a
real.
nuisance.
I've experienced some of the most evil things ever from people I've never even met before for no
Yeah.
reason. But
Yes.
oh well, we'll make it. And
That's right.
I want to say thanks again. Thanks to the team over here at Drummers I Like. Kevin, you have, as usual, been a huge help. Thanks for doing the show. And big shout out to Zach for keeping it real and keeping everything in order as usual. Big shout out to Brendan and Tyler for making sure social media is on lockdown because that is a big part of this operation. The great media and content we get out, we would not be able to do it without our team. So big shout out to them. And that content they're pushing out is coming from the world's greatest graphic designer, which is over here at Drummers I Like. It's Diana. So a big shout out to her. And
Yes.
once again, Kevin, seriously, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Great week. Great week for Drummers I Like. And we will see everyone next week. Awesome guests. They're keeping coming. So we'll talk to you then.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.